Hello all, welcome to another quick learning. Today we're going back to CodeSignal, work on the database SQL coding exercises. If you're joining this in the middle of the playlist, I'll put a link in the description below so you can start from the beginning if you wish. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go Arcade Databases. So we're getting pretty far down here. We are at this section here between join and select. We only have one other section left. And then number 78, stringsStatistics. Alright, so you're collecting some statistics about strings in the table strings, which only has one column. So there's str, which is a unique string that consists only of lowercase English letters. Your goal is to return a new table ANS, which has the following columns. So a letter, which is a lowercase English letter, the total number of occurrences of this letter in all strings from the table strs. Occurrence, the number of strings at the table strs in which that letter occurs at least once. Max occurrence, the maximum number of occurrences of this letter in a single string. Max occurrence reached, the number of strings in which this maximum number of occurrence is reached. Okay. The rows should be ordered lexicographically, so alphabetically by letter. For letters that are not contained in the strs table, do not add a row to the output table. All integers in the total column should be positive. Alright, so here's the example. So they have one column in this table, str, and they're just giving us strings with different lowercase English letters. And this is the output they want. So for letter A, there's a total of 12 A's among all of these rows. There's a 4, so in 4 different rows the A's occur. The max occurrence is 4, so that would be here and here. And you can see that's why there's 2 for the max occurrence reached, because there's 2 instances where 4 was reached. Alright, so how will we go about doing this? So I copied this code from some other solution because I thought it did the job pretty well and it's easier to understand. So let's go into the innermost select here. So in this select, we're selecting A first from the, or let's start with this temporary table that's created first. So first they created a temporary table called letters, and it's got one column which is just a single character, and they insert into that A column all the different letters of the English alphabet. So there's 26 letters from A to Z. And you have to put these semicolons after the create statement and the insert because that's the end of the SQL statement. Alright, so now let's go into the innermost select statement here. So they're selecting this A, remember that's the column in the letters table that we created from letters, and they're cross-joining it, so they're taking every possible combination of this letters table and they're joining that with the str. So that's going to give you every possible combination, and then they're giving the length of each one of those letters. So A is joining with this one, B is joining with this one, C, etc. for all the different rows. And then they're finding the number of occurrences of the different letters by taking the length of the string. So the length of this, which is 2, minus the length of that string when you replace it by the letter. Don't be confused by A here, it's just one of these different letters when we do the cross join. So in the first case it's going to be A, and then it's going to be B and C, etc. So there's going to be 26 rows for each one of these strings lining up with each letter. So here we replace the A's in this string, first A's, by nothing, and then we check the length there. So for this one, for the first one, which would be A, if we replaced A's with an empty string, then the length would be 0. So you can say there's 2 A's in there because the length regularly minus the length when you replace the A's is 2. So there's 2 A's. That's how you find that out. And then there would also be a row that has B, and then the string B would be 0 length because the length of this is 2, and then the length after you replace it with B's with empty strings is still 2, so that's 0. So it's going to find the length of each one of those with replacing each letter and then subtracting that from that to find out how many occurrences of that letter there are. All right, so that gives you that table. And then from that table, we're going to get the total number of letter occurrences by just summing up this column here from this subquery. And then if for every row that the occurrence is greater than 0, we're going to put a 1 and sum that up. That'll tell us how many occurrences of rows have an A or a B or etc. And then the max tells us the max occurrence, so here would be 4 for A, here would be 4 for A, and then the max occurrence for B is 5, which is here. So that gives us most of what we want, but it doesn't give us the max occurrence reached. So we have to do another layer on top of this to get that. So to get that, we have this query here. Actually, we should. And also we have this having statement here to make sure that we only have letters that are in the different strings. So this is going to take out, for this one, only A's and B's are here, so it's going to take out C through Z with this having statement. All right. So then in this statement, we're going to select star from the other ones, so we're getting all of these columns coming in, and then we're putting this additional column on it that counts up the number of rows where the length of occurrences. So in the case of A, you have 2 that had 4, so it's going to just give you those 2. So that'll place a 2 in this count, whereas B, that's going to be only 1 because there's only 1 where there's a max occurrence. That's equal to that, which is 5. Okay. So that's that. And that's the whole thing, and then we just drop the letters table at the end because we don't need it anymore. And then if we run the test, you can see that that passes. So in summary, we find first, we do a cross join to get all the different combinations of letters to these strings, and then we count, and then we use this function to figure out how many occurrences of that specific letter are in that string. And then we use the sum functions and max functions to do the aggregate statistics on all of them, and then we put an additional layer to get the max occurrence reached by doing a where statement to find out if that line has, how many counts of that line have that max occurrence. All right. Hopefully you guys are able to follow along with that, and you'll join me for future videos. Thank you very much.